Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, known in Japan as Persona 4, the Ultimax Ultra Suplex Hold, is a 2013 fighting video game co-developed by Arc System Works and Atlus. It is the direct sequel to the 2012 game, Persona 4 Arena, which is itself a follow-up to the role-playing game, Shin Megami Tensei, Persona 4. The game was originally released in Japanese arcades on November 28, 2013, and was released for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in Japan on August 28, 2014. It was released in North America on September 30, 2014, while Sega will publish the game in Europe on November 21, 2014. Plot, setting and characters. The game takes place a week after the event of Persona 4 Arena, in fictional rural Japanese town of Inaba. Unlike in the prequel that focused on the TV world, the event occurs in the real world. However, due to the enemy's interference, Inaba is shrouded by red fog and turns into a labyrinth that mixes with the places of Shin Megami Tensei, Persona 3 such as Moonlight Bridge, Club Escapade, and Tartarus. 8 new characters are added to the roster, which are Yukari Takeba, Ken Armada and his canine partner Koromaru, Junpei Iori, Rise Kijikawa, Toru Adaki, Marie, Margaret and a brand new character, Sho Minazuki. Furthermore, many of these characters feature a shadow type. Other characters, such as Fuka Yamagishi from Persona 3 and Theodore from Persona 3 Portable, appear in a non-playable capacity. Story. The story mode is divided into 2 stories between the Persona 3 and Persona 4 cast. In Persona 3 story mode, Mitsuru, Aegis, Akihiko, and Fuka, while discussing the culprit behind the previous P1 Grand Prix, have the car they were riding in as hijacked and they all get captured. Laborers, who had heard the news, quickly informs and pick up Yukari, Ken, and Koromaru to go to Inaba via helicopter. Meanwhile, Junpei, who missed his stop because he overslept, by a chance ends up at Inaba. Yukari informs him to meet at the station, but blackout occurs throughout Inaba, and the town is shrouded by red fog and shadows appearing. The team decides to split up to look for their captured comrades. After separately meeting the members of investigation team and rescue their captured friends, they encounter Sho, the culprit behind Laborer's hijacking, who goads them into fighting shadows in order to gather their persona fragments to summon a malevolent entity. It is also revealed that Sho used to be one of Ikuzuki's test subjects who lived an isolated life and grew to resent the entire world after the latter abandoned him. During one of the experiments to make him a persona user like Striga by using Plume of Dusk that's similar to Aegis and Laborer's, another personality was born within Sho, which he refers to as Minazuki, who claims to have been born to grant Sho's wish to create a world without bonds. Chasing after Sho to the top of Tartarus, they are surrounded by a huge group of shadows that prevent them from reaching the tower. They nearly succumb until Adaki saves them. While Mitsuru and the others fends off the shadows, Laborers reaches the top of the tower to fight Sho. After defeating Sho, General Teddy reveals himself to be the very entity that Sho tried to awaken, Hinoka Katsuchi, and proceeds to possess Sho's body. With mental support from her friends, Laborers is able to emerge victorious against Hinoka Katsuchi. As Tartarus collapses, Elizabeth transports everyone into TV World. Sho, who is also transported, asks if she really did defeat Hinoka Katsuchi, which she confirms, and Sho acknowledges her strength. Laborers then tries to convince Sho to join the Shadow Operatives, but Sho refuses and threatens her to leave him alone before he leaves. Laborers then reunites with her friends. Afterwards, the ending shows the aftermath of each character. Mitsuru continues her next step for Shadow Operatives, Akihiko quits being a member to become a police under Kurosawa's guidance, Ken and Koromaru tries to live out their lives normally, Yukari and Aegis visit the ruins of the lab where Laborers was born and decided to let it be instead of destroying it after seeing the nature that grows after its abandonment. Junpei makes progress with his position in his baseball team, Fuka continues her engineering work, and Labor is wondering about her mother. In Persona 4 story mode, at midnight, the TV in newsroom suddenly starts airing the P1 climax that shows Mitsuru, Aegis, Akihiko, and Fuka, crucified, and announces the world's end within 1 hour. A blackout then occurs throughout Inaba and the whole town is surrounded by red fog. Yu quickly regroups with Yosuke and Chai after they defeat the shadows that took their friends' forms and decide to go to Azagami High following General Teddy's instruction while also looking for their friends. Meanwhile, Rise, who had just arrived in Inaba after her work, meets Elizabeth, who questions her after sensing her lack of determination due to her support-type persona. Once regaining her confidence, Elizabeth engages her in a battle, and Rise's persona, Himiko, changes form that is capable of fighting. Teddy meets with Yukiko, who is confused with two kanjis with her. With Teddy's help, they are able to tell which is the real kanji and they defeat the shadow. Naoto, who has been contacted by Labis for help prior to the blackout, meets up with the shadow operatives to rescue Mitsuru and the others. Yu, Yosuke, and Chai, who have reached Azagami High, are approached by Sho, who reveals that he is the culprit. They are also surprisingly approached by Adaki, who was supposed to be imprisoned, and give cryptic clues regarding Sho's intention to them. At Tartarus, they once again encounter Sho and defeats him, but are overpowered by his other self, Minazuki. They are saved by Labris and Naoto. Having gathered enough persona fragments to summon a malevolent entity that will destroy the world. On their way to the top of Tartarus, a huge group of shadows prevent them to go, leaving them no choice but to let Yugo confront Sho alone. At the top of the tower, Yu stops Sho from killing Adaki, and fights Minazuki, in which he emerges victorious. General Teddy, revealing himself to be Hinoki Gotsuchi, possesses Sho's body and fights Yu. With Adaki's help, they are able to kill Hinoki Gotsuchi for good. As Tartarus collapses, Margaret transports him and his friends to the TV world where Yu reunites with his friends. Afterwards, the ending shows the aftermath of each character. Yosuke goes to Okina City for cram school to prepare for college, Teddy continues his work at June's, Chai studying hard to become a police officer, Yukiko learning how to cook for her inn, Kanji studying hard to take over his family business, Naruto decides to investigate more about shadows and Kirijo group-related incidents and remnants, and Yu returns to his town and officially disbands the investigation team for good. After finishing the two stories, the player can take the true ending route. This route shows after Yu and Adaki defeated Hinoki Gotsuchi. Sho, who reveals himself to be alive, unable to sense Minazuki within him, and then reveals that he was awakened in the hospital with his payment paid by Kozuki. Afterwards, he travels around the world until he ended up in Inaba, where he observed Yu and his friends solving the case. He is then confronted by Hinoki Gotsuchi, who asks him if he wants to destroy the world, and he agreed. Yu convinced Sho not to be afraid bonding with people, but Sho replies that he can only understand people by fighting them. Understanding this, Yu challenges Sho to one last fight and once again emerges as the victor. Inspired by Yu's bonds, Sho insists that he will kill Yu one day and he should be prepared, which Yu accepts as long as the others won't get involved. Yu reunites with his friends at June's where they all celebrate their victory. Yu has a heart-to-heart talk with Labris, who is wondering about Sho, and both are confident that they will meet him again one day after Sho finished his own journey. If the player has the Tohu Adaki DLC, the player can access a special story mode called Episode Adaki, that will tell the event of the game through Adaki's point of view. Gameplay. Like the previous title, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax is a fighting game in which characters from both Persona 4 and Persona 3 battle each other using a variety of special moves, combos, and Persona abilities. Along with balance adjustments and new moves added to the returning characters, a new S-hold system allows players to charge up their attacks. Also new to Ultimax is the ability to choose shadowed types for many of the game's characters. These shadow versions differ by being largely skill-based variants of their counterparts, employing a high-risk high-reward playstyle thanks to reduced normal attack damage and an altered moveset with lacking defensive options. They also keep their SP over multiple rounds instead of resetting each time and possess an exclusive Shadow Rampage ability, which replaces the burst command, giving the characters infinite SP for a limited time. The game's story mode is now split into two separate campaigns for the Persona 4 and Persona 3 casts, as opposed to a campaign for each character. Two additional story campaigns are available. One allows players to replay the character campaigns from Persona 4 Arena, while the other is included with the Toru Wadaki downloadable content and focuses on his actions during the story. Golden Arena is a dungeon-based survival mode, in which players travel through various dungeons to increase the fighter's stats. Players can build social links with the navigator character, giving them skills that can aid the player in battle. Online play now features a new lobby area, resembling an arcade, where players can interact with each other. Playable characters. Along with all 13 returning characters from the previous game, 8 new characters are added to the roster, including a brand new character, Sho Minazuki. Furthermore, many of these characters feature a shadow type. Other characters, such as Fuka Yamagishi from Persona 3 and Theodore from Persona 3 Portable, appear in a non-playable capacity. Notes: A. Exclusive to console version. B. Downloadable character. C. Sho Minazuki has 2 different character slots. One possessing a persona and the other without. These are distinguished as Minazuki and Sho respectively in the English version. D. Does not have a shadowed type. Reception. The game sold a total of 89,000 units in Japan during its first week of release, topping charts. Hardcore Gamer gave the game a 4/5, saying in terms of fighting mechanics, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax Duos na Euro unregistered trademark T-Go leaps and bounds past its predecessor, but allows for growth that helps strengthen the experience. References. External links, official websites for North America, a Euro Japan.